You need to apply a very light hand with this, you guys. The lightest hand. The lightest hand. Hi guys, welcome back to the Clean Beauty Code. I'm so excited for this video. We're doing a concealer review. We're doing another concealer review. We're knocking these out of the freaking park, you guys. We are doing an LYS Beauty review. The LYS Beauty concealer. And I'm freaking excited. The second that it launched, I literally got so many DMs and like questions. And I actually even got a question on my website and then on the channel too, like in the comment section. Because I asked what you guys want me to review. And you guys were like, please, the LYS Beauty. And I was like, girl, I got you. I already ordered it. I'm already testing. So I'm really freaking excited to get into this. Also, I'm real bright today because she's done. She's done with winter. So in my soul, it's now spring. So we're going with the spring vibe today. Also, my hair's super greasy today. She's all over the place. I know. I'm you know what? I have to get it together. Like hair-wise, I need to get it together because I was like just not vibing this winter, just dry mess. So yeah, but besides the brightness I'm serving, I want to get into this video. I'm very excited to get into it. So what we're going to do is we're going to do swatches, we're going to compare and contrast, we're going to do final thoughts, we're going to do the full dang thing, and I'm really excited. So let's get into this LYS Beauty Concealer review. If you're excited for this video and more videos like this, then please like and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get into this LYS Beauty Concealer review. All right, you guys, LYS Beauty Concealer, let's get into it. Hair's still looking crazy, that's fine. I have the concealer in front of me here, and the shade that I got in this is MN5. Now, there were a bunch of options I could have gone with, but I wanted something that would have worked on my face for hyperpigmentation to lighten and still blend out easily with foundation, even if it was more on the light side, because I also want to wear it under my eyes, and I wanted something a little bit more brightening. I don't always go for brightening under the eyes, but the vibe right now is brightening under the eyes for me because my circles have gotten a lot darker, and it's a nightmare. So I'm actually wearing the shade under my eyes right now, so you can kind of see what it looks like. This is definitely a light consistency. I'm going to swatch it for you guys here, and the shade range too is great. So I feel like if you struggle finding a concealer that's not dark enough or not light enough, definitely check out the LYS Beauty Concealer, because I feel like their shade range is really extensive. I think they have like 25 shades or something like that. That might be 20, in the 20s, I feel like is their shade range, which is really good for concealer. You do not see that often. And I feel like that's a miss. So I'm going to swatch this on the back of my hand. And as you can see, or maybe you can't see, it is very thin and lightweight, which I love. So my favorite way to apply concealer is to apply it and let it sit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let the swatch that I just applied sit for a second, and I'm going to apply another swatch and I'm going to blend it out without letting it sit. Now, both ways it applies well if you don't let it sit, but I like to let mine sit, and I feel like that's a trick a lot of people talk about. I know a lot of makeup artists do that trick as well, like let it sit for a minute or two, do your brows, whatever it is, and then go back and blend it out. Now, I'm going to be using the Ami Collet concealer brush, which I have been literally obsessed with, to blend it out. It's hard to see, and then so this is right here, it blended out, and I'm letting this sit a little bit longer, and the coverage is really, really nice. So I think you can get it to be more full coverage. However, you can also get it to be medium coverage, which is really nice. This is the type of concealer that you can't, because it is so thin, you guys, because it's so thin, you can wear it without foundation. Now, that is rare. I have other concealers I'm going to talk about later that you can also do that with. It is rare to find something that is at like more on the full coverage side or has the capability to go full coverage that also you can wear alone. And I like that a lot. So now I'm going to blend out the one that I let sit. And you can just see the coverage is a little bit more, but also I find that I don't have creasing at all when I let it sit. Now, okay, I said this in my Ami Collet concealer review. I'm going to talk about it again here. There will always be some form of creasing because your face moves. right? Like nothing is going to never budge at all. That's just like the most unrealistic expectation. And if you see, this is the biggest lie that has ever been shared in the world until like, I feel like recent years where people admitted they got under eye filler. If people don't crease under their eyes at all, and they're not setting with powder or anything like that, some people are like just blessed in a way that the rest of us won't be, but some people have under eye filler. Everything will always somewhat move. I do find this doesn't settle in fine lines really that much at all though. And I don't really need to set it, and that is important. I need to say that with my chest again, I do not need to set this concealer. And I don't have any running with this concealer, any more than I would with anything else, if that makes sense. Like if I'm wearing a really runny mascara, yeah, sure, I'll have some running, but that's the mascara's fault. But if I'm wearing just a regular mascara that won't run, and then I apply this concealer, I still don't have any running. Some concealers, you can get more running if you specifically don't set them, with like just some concealers, with some mascaras, because of the texture of the concealer. This I do not have that issue with, and that is important. So definitely lightweight. I mean, you can see, I mean, even under my eyes right now, you can just see, oh, it's so good. I didn't set it today. You can just see it's just so lightweight and really, really like seamless and pretty. And that is really important. I feel like the concealers that I love the most have that lightweight quality, but have the coverage that I need. So I can definitely get this to be full coverage. However, you need to apply a very light hand with this, you guys. The lightest hand. The lightest hand, because it's very liquidy and spreads, right? Like this isn't one, even when you let it sit, that won't spread. So when you blend it out, you almost have like too much, because it's very like spready, if that makes sense. So I would do a little bit at a time. It layers nicely. So if you apply, you blend out, and then you're like, I want a little bit more coverage, and you apply, it layers nicely, and it layers well on top of different types of under eye creams. And it works well with under eye oil if you do that too. I've done that every once in a while, and that works well too. I don't find it clings to dry patches. And I specifically right now have, I can't tell, wait, let me look. Okay, because I don't know where okay. Specifically here on this eye, I have a little bit of a breakout right here that gets a little bit dry, and I do not find that it clings to it, and that is really, really nice. I do like it for hyperpigmentation. I'm actually not wearing it on my hyperpigmentation today. I'm just letting my hyperpigmentation fly, but it does do a good job at concealing hyperpigmentation. You know what? Maybe apply a little bit so that you can see. Now, I don't like to over apply it, so you can see it definitely did a good job at concealing. I don't like to over apply it though, because I don't like a lot of concealer on top of my hyperpigmentation. And because I need to apply a little bit at a time, I find that I get medium plus, almost full coverage with this on my hyperpigmentation, but not 100% full coverage on my hyperpigmentation because of the way I apply it. However, if I really went to town, full coverage. You can definitely get full coverage out of this. But I like really, really, really lightweight looking makeup. And although this is lightweight in and of itself, because with hyperpigmentation marks, I need to set it with powder, just masks life, right? Like you want to set it up. I find that it's better for me to just apply a little bit, and it definitely, I mean, I feel like you can even see it did such a good job. You can see a little bit left here, but not a lot. I don't find that it crumbles or gets super crepey looking, and that's nice because full coverage concealers or medium plus almost full coverage concealers can be a little bit crazy sometimes. They really can be, and just like over like thick looking on the skin. This one does not have that because it is such a thin consistency, which I really, really like. Now I want to compare the LYS Beauty concealer to the other concealers in my collection. So first things first, we have concealers here. So I have the Ilia concealer in the shade I wear, and this is Chai. We have the LYS Beauty concealer in the shade I wear, and this is LX100. And we have the Ami Colé concealers, and I have the shade Medium 2, which is a more peachy shade, and the shade Medium 1.5. Now let's talk about these comparably to each other. What do I want to do? I want to swatch. So I'm going to swatch all the concealers next to each other just so that you can see. So first I have the Rose Ink Concealer. Then I have, just so you can see, that's what it looks like. Then I have the Ilia concealer, which is, all of these shades don't really like match each other, but they work on me. So that is the Ilia C. Then we have the Amicole concealers, and I have the shade medium 2, which is the more peachy light shade, which I'm going to swatch next. Very lightweight, very light. And then I also have the shade medium 1.5, which is more on the yellow side, but still really, really good, so that you can kind of see what they all look like. Yeah, so you can kind of see the shade range. Now, I'm going to swatch the LYS Beauty one next. And the shade I have in this is MN5. So I would say out of all of these, the LYS Beauty Concealer is definitely the lightest in terms of shade, but I really, really like that because I don't have a lot of brightening concealers, so I wanted to get a brightening one out of this. So let's talk about them, now that you see them all swatched, let's talk about them comparably. So the Rose Ink Concealer versus the LYS Beauty Concealer. These, I would say, are very, very similar. I would say the Rose Ink Concealer is definitely medium plus coverage, and the difference here is definitely the texture. The LYS Beauty Concealer is very much more lightweight and thin and liquid, whereas the Rose Ink Concealer is a little bit, thicker isn't the word, but a little bit more whipped. And definitely, I can use more of the Rose Ink Concealer than I can of the LYS Beauty one, because it blends out differently. Both great concealers, both really give me the coverage I need under my eyes. I would say out of all of these concealers, the Rose Ink Concealer and the LYS Beauty Concealer are the most similar, although texture-wise, they are definitely very, very different. But both don't really crease under the eyes, wear nicely throughout the day, definitely give me a nice bright under eye. Okay, next. Next, let's talk about the, what is this? Next, let's talk about the Ilia Concealer. Can I get it together? So the Ilia Concealer is definitely more medium coverage. I definitely can't get like medium plus or full coverage out of this, whereas the Rose Ink Concealer and the LYS Beauty Concealer, you can definitely do medium plus to full coverage depending on how much you are applying. The Ilia Concealer is definitely lightweight, blends out beautifully, and is more, I would say, consistency-wise, to like a more traditional style concealer. I love this concealer. It's really, really good. Although the shade you can see is more on the yellow side, it works really, really well for my under eyes and combating the darkness. Really good. But I could probably do like a lighter shade or a more neutral shade, really. Really, really good. Okay, and then the Amicole concealer. So I did a whole Amicole concealer review, so I'm not going to like get too crazy with this, but these are really, really nice. So I have two shades. I have a more peachy shade and a more like skin tony shade. And I like these in terms of consistency. I would say they are the most similar to the Ilia concealer, maybe a little bit more on the thicker side, but they blend out beautifully. I can wear them alone. I can wear them with foundation, just like all the rest of the concealers I've mentioned today. They wear really great without foundation, which I love, especially in summertime. Really, really good. I know I'm actually going to get a question about the Amicole concealer versus the LYS Beauty one, and if I have a preference. I actually don't have a preference. It's really just occasion for me. My preference with the Amicole concealer specifically is I love the Amicole concealer for correcting. It is so, so good. It is so creamy. It doesn't crease. It plays well with other products. Really, really good. So it kind of depends. I like to wear them together. I like to wear them just separate together. Really, really good. The consistency is definitely different. Amicole is definitely more on the thicker side, but also the coverage is different. This is definitely more of a medium coverage concealer. So that kind of is the difference there. And I would say it's just preference based, like, or day based for me. I have been grabbing the LYS Beauty Concealer non-stop recently. I would say these two are the most comparable in my collection to coverage and how much I grab them. I grabbed the Ilia concealer a ton as well. If you've seen any of my reviews or my try-on videos, I'm always layering the Ilia concealer and the Rose Ink concealer together. But in terms of everyday, a lot of the time I just grab the Rose Ink one, and because it has a little bit more coverage than the Ilia one, but I love the Ilia one as well. So these two I've definitely been grabbing the most currently in my collection, and when I need some really good correcting, I'm grabbing the Amicole, and Even just, you know what, even the Amicole, though, I've been grabbing this a ton. Just this one, because it's so thin and lightweight, I'm so impressed with the formula. I've been grabbing this a ton. I would say that, I'm going to say something bold. Okay, I'm going to say something very bold. I'm going to say that this is a very, I feel like I've been saying bold things in my videos recently and just making like declarations, and then I'm like, oh, they're going to check me with that later. This formula, consistency, shade range, all of those things. This concealer specifically, the LYS Beauty Concealer, is is something that has been missing in the marketplace for a while. Not saying other brands don't come out with great concealers or that they're not as medium plus or great shade range, but I do feel like this as a whole, this concealer specifically, is something that has been missing in the marketplace for sure. I said it. There has been a miss, there has been a hole. Lightweight, like thin, liquid, medium plus to full coverage, great shade range. This really, I feel like it will be something that a lot of different people can use and love and grab, no matter kind of your makeup style or your complexion, and I find that really, really great. I like this a lot. Can my phone please stop? I like this a lot, and it really impressed me. I wasn't expecting to be as impressed with this as I was, but just remember, a little bit goes a long way. Just like with the rose ink one, I can apply more of the rose ink one, but a little bit goes a long way. You don't want to over apply because they layer all beautifully, and you don't need to over apply. You can kind of little by little go. That's the best way to get your makeup to look really seamless and like real cute. So yeah, that is kind of my LYS Beauty Concealer review. I would love to know your thoughts down below. I would love to know if you've tried it. If you haven't, are you going to grab it? Or if you're going to grab any of these other concealers, the Rose Ink Concealer, the Amicole Concealer, or the Ilia Concealer, because I'm obsessed with all of them. They're all really, really good. And, okay, I'm just going to say this. For concealer recently, since I've been testing the Amicole concealers, I also got the brush. And the brush, I will say, like, this style concealer brush for under the eyes is unmatched. And I feel like it makes your concealer look better. I still use my fingers and I still use a beauty sponge, but this just makes, it just is so seamless and flawless and just blends it out in a way that others don't, and it doesn't suck up too much of the product. And even if there's product still on the brush, you can easily apply what's left on the brush under your eyes or around your face. Really, really good. And yeah, that is it for my LYS Beauty review. Thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.